5s, we're going to go as we mean to go on with number 10, which is... Now this is a small movie with big ideas. Wind River for me has been totally overlooked this year. Not a lot of people, I think, really took that much notice. Elizabeth Olsen and Jeremy Renner did an amazing job in this murder mystery in a gorgeous setting. This movie took what murder mysteries are and really held this encapsulating, really deep movie and really had me going throughout the entire film. I don't know why it's been overlooked as it is, maybe because the two people are sort of in the midst of doing Marvel movies at the moment, so maybe people aren't taking it too seriously. That's my theory at least. A total shame, but my number 10, because it really was for me that good. But there's still 9 more, so number 9 is... Now when I see a movie based on real life, I need it to grab me by the nuts. And for me, this was between Stronger and Breathe, and I think Jake Gyllenhaal, for me, stole this, so I'm sorry Andrew Garfield. Stronger is number 9 for me. This movie took me on an emotional roller coaster, not just because things were sad, but it really puts you on the sort of regular human level. He's got an alcoholic mother, he's got people that use his fame against him, and after this horrific thing of losing both of your legs at the Boston Marathon bombing, it's just absolutely terrible to think that people do these kind of things, and it's true. And although, however unbelievable it seems, you just know it's real because it's just totally real life encapsulated into 2 hours. And Jake Gyllenhaal really took me on this emotional ride and really made me feel for the man. Yeah, he was a total dick, but who wouldn't be? You're adjusting to yourself, and that is just incredible for me that they took regular people and made it look regular and didn't try to Hollywoodize things. Stronger was fantastic and a great true story. Now, number 8 is... Speaking of emotion, see, just keep knocking out these bloody segues again. Although Mother is a total head spin, it is also, for me, probably the cleverest movie I have seen all year. It is full of religious connotation, it's full of just literally things about nature. This whole movie is full of things that if you blink once you will miss them. This movie isn't trying to get an Oscar or go for Golden Globes or anything. Yes, Javier Bardem and Jennifer Lawrence put in some incredible performances in this movie, but that was never the point. The point was to tell a story that conveyed emotion, religious belief, and really put them in some shocking visual metaphors. The whole movie is one big metaphor that does not wait for you to figure it out. Mother, the total head fuck that it is, really is a movie that surprised the hell out of me. But as I always say, there is a lot more to this list, so next on the list is... I thought Charlize Theron could not kick any more arse than she did in last year's Mad Max Fury Road as Furiosa, but my god, this woman kicks some serious arse in Atomic Blonde. Made by the same people that made John Wick, you can totally tell that it is exactly like those things. She kicks some serious arse. The fight choreography was absolutely amazing in this movie. I just couldn't... Look, I waffled on for 14 minutes and 45 seconds in my video about this. It's one of my first videos, but I just couldn't stop talking about how good it was. Yes, it might not be in the top 5 of this list, but that does not mean that this movie is not just amazing. You can tell that Charlize Theron put every ounce of effort into her performance in this movie. In the dark, dingy landscapes in the 90s, the soundtrack absolutely incredible. I can't put many faults wrong with this movie. If I'm going to waffle on for 15 minutes about it, I'm pretty sure it's good. But as I said, there's a lot more in this list, so next one, here we go. Marvel has been doing its thing for a long time now, since 2008, and bringing in different directors to do things. Yes, they trust the Russo brothers, and you know, they trust Kevin Feige, the awesome wisdom man that he is. But bringing in the dude who directed Flight of the Conchords, you think wouldn't work, but Taika Waititi literally came in and rewrote the rulebook on how to do a Marvel movie. This movie entertained me from start to middle to end. It is hilarious, didn't take itself too seriously, but also didn't take itself away from canon. Taika Waititi was just clever enough to just do his own thing, and yet it worked so well. This, for me, is up there with one of the best Marvel movies ever. I'm a huge Marvel boy. I am a little bandit for it. I love it. Yes, the first two Thor films were quite uninspired, but this just shot Chris Hemsworth's character right into the hemispheres, into literally the history books of how great this movie is. I cannot put into words how excited I am to get this movie when it finally comes out on DVD and Blu-ray. Personally DVD, because I think Blu-ray is ridiculous, but still, I really cannot wait. He literally wrote how to make a funny movie and put some ridiculous things into it in the same sort of universe. It is amazing. God, I love Thor Ragnarok, I really do. Number 5. There's good movies, there's bad movies, then there's The Room, a total enigma made by a man who was himself an enigma. The Disaster Artist, for me and other fans of The Room, this is a fitting tribute, brilliantly portrayed by James Franco. Some amazing cast members, obviously one of his best buddies, James Franco's best buddy, Seth Rogen, and his brother Dave, stole this, one of the funniest movies for me this year. Obviously, I think Thor was hilarious as well, but this movie is a fitting tribute only for people who love The Room. I think that if you love it, you will appreciate it no end. Some tributes on some other movies can sometimes be sort of a bad satire. This one was the perfect one, and I cannot fault it for that. The Disaster Artist, brilliant tribute to the most wacky son of a bitch I've ever seen anywhere in the world, ever. Next. Now, Baby Driver has a significance for me on my channel because it's the first movie I ever gave a 5 out of 5 for, and for bloody good reason. I am a huge Edgar Wright fan. Obviously the Cornetto trilogy, I've talked to death about it. This just cements for me why Edgar Wright is up there with the greats. He's up there with literally the biggest directors in the world. The man has no bounds on what he will do for visual little nuggets that you have to see after the third viewing, and the amazing car stunts and the soundtrack, which I purchased, by the way. It's that damn good. The man took a music opera and just smushed it all together into a car chase. It's just perfect, and I've watched it 2 or 3 times since, and I just can't get bored of it. Baby Driver is a genius movie, and I'm so glad I've gave it a 5 out of 5 because after all this time, it's still perfect. I love it. Number 3. This, of course, is a true story, and for me, a bloody terrifying one. When you have things like Saving Private Ryan, which has also obviously been called the most accurate depiction of any war ever on film, the storming the beaches of Normandy, this, for me, without any blood and guts, with the innocence of just showing you emotion rather than blood and things to make you go, ugh, that's really what it was like. Christopher Nolan literally has rewritten the book on how to do a war movie based on just people's emotion. Getting those men off that beach on boats that random, like me and you bought boats to help these people out, and then they were sent back onto the front line again and just killed within 6 weeks. It seems damn pointless, but it was just, when you can get it right without having to shock your audience, you just know exactly what is up. It is a genius war movie, and for me, one of my favourite war movies of all time. It is so hard to get it right, but Christopher Nolan, you've done it again. You could do comics in The Dark Knight, you've shown you can do war now with Dunkirk. Well done, sir, it is genius. but it's not number one, so let's keep this little gravy train rolling. Now I know I've literally just done a review on this movie, but it still stays with me now. I saw this movie 3 or 4 days ago and it still amazes me. It's rewritten my brain on the fact that musicals can be entertaining. The soundtrack is all completely original and is just written beautifully. I was in a band. I appreciate music more than most when it comes to soundtracks. I've already purchased it, it's on its way. I can't wait because this just gives me goosebumps. Everyone did an amazing performance in this movie. Hugh Jackman, Zac Efron, Zendaya, everyone. This just rewrote the book on how you make a musical movie. The men who wrote the soundtrack did La La Land. They've clearly shown that they can do it. And in this, they've just done it again. I can find no fault in this movie. It might not be my number one, because my number one for me has a lot more entrenched in it, but this movie it came from nothing in my brain, didn't even think about it, and it's just shot to one of my favourite movies of the year. I love it. So let's get on to that most important, my favourite movie of this year, which was... If, like myself, you are a huge fan of the original Blade Runner, you will agree with me with this movie, but I genuinely believe that when I said it way back when I did my review, this is the greatest sequel of all time, and I thoroughly still believe myself on that one. This movie, for me, it was just a visual feast. I just feel like I could pick it up and chew it. I could just stare at the screen. If you just paused it, everything was just visually encapsulating. It was absolutely amazing. I loved it. Blade Runner 2049 for me was the most perfect film. Harrison bloody Ford came back and still killed it. And they brought in new characters that still stick to the universe so perfectly that if they wanted to carry on the franchise, and I hope they don't, because if you keep doing too many, you get the Star Wars syndrome where it just doesn't stop and it could get worse. But Ryan Gosling just shows that he's still a fantastic actor when he can come into this already film that is full of people that, you know, it's become a bit of a cult hit now, this movie, the original even, and he's just come in and dominated and stuck with Harrison Ford, and they really have nailed it together. Blade Runner 2049 is the best movie of the year. If you don't agree with me, then so there you have it, guys. There is my top 10 best movies of the year. What are your top 10 best? I would love to know. As always, please stick around, because I've got my top 10 worst movies of the year coming up. Fuck me, that was good to write. And well, yeah, as always, guys, don't forget, before you leave me, please press your subscribe button. I love it. Please, and press like. Do all those things. Tell your friends about me, please. And of course, follow me on all the socials. You guys, you'll know the drill by now, and I'll see you all in the next video.